Hello, everyone. Today I want to tell you a powerful story about how English changed my life completely. If you want to become a nurse, a teacher, a social worker, or anyone who helps people, then you must understand this one truth. Without English, your dreams will stay dreams. With English, your dreams become reality. My name is Florence, and I am from Egypt. I grew up in a small, crowded house near Cairo. My parents worked in a textile factory. They woke up before sunrise, spent hours at noisy machines, and came home exhausted. Yet they always found energy to smile at me, hug me, and give me hope. Money was always tight. Some days we didn't even have enough to buy extra food. But my parents' love was endless, and their belief in me was stronger than any shortage of money. Since I was a child, I had a dream that burned inside my heart. I wanted to help sick people. I wanted to become a nurse. I imagined myself holding the hands of patients, calming them down, giving them medicine, saving lives. That thought gave me purpose, a reason to wake up every morning with hope. But there was a huge problem. In Egypt, if you want to study nursing, you need English. Medical terms, English. Hospital communication, English. Textbooks, English. And my English, terrible. Whenever someone spoke English around me, it felt like a storm inside my head. Words flew too fast. Sentences twisted in strange ways. I couldn't understand a thing. My ears would hurt. My mind would go blank. My confidence disappeared. I felt scared. I felt embarrassed. I felt small. Sometimes I wanted to hide. Sometimes I wanted to give up. But deep down, I knew this dream of helping people was bigger than my fear. That tiny flame of hope whispered, "Florence, you can do this. You just need to start." And that whisper became the beginning of my journey. A journey that would change my life forever. At 18, I started working in the same textile factory as my parents. The machines were hot and loud, clanking and spinning without pause. The air smelled of chemicals and dust. My hands became rough from handling fabrics all day. The hours were long, sometimes 12, sometimes 14 hours straight. The salary was small, barely enough to cover food and rent. Yet I worked silently, thinking about my dream of becoming a nurse. Every day felt the same: wake up, walk to the factory, work, go home, sleep, repeat. The days blurred together, and a part of me felt trapped. I loved my parents, but I didn't want to live their life forever. I wanted more. I wanted to help people, to make a difference. But every time I thought about nursing, a wall appeared. That wall was English. One day, a foreign medical team visited our factory to check on workers' health. They spoke with precision, calmness, and confidence. The nurse especially caught my attention. She spoke English beautifully, soft, clear, and confident. She gave instructions to everyone, and people listened. No one questioned her. Everyone respected her. I stood there staring, and my heart ached. Why can't I speak like that? Why can't I become a nurse like her? That night I went home and cried alone in my room. Why am I stuck? I whispered to myself. Why am I living the same day again and again? My father came in quietly, sat beside me, and placed a hand on my shoulder. "Florence," he said, "you are not a tree. You can move. If English is blocking your dream, then break that block. His words hit me like lightning. Suddenly, everything became clear. My fear of English had been holding me back, not my abilities. I realized that if I wanted to change my life, I had to take control. I knew that if I wanted to become a nurse, learning English was not optional, it was the key. But I had no money for fancy courses, no connections, and no easy way forward. All I had was determination. I started saving every coin I could. I stopped buying snacks and small treats. I walked to work instead of taking the bus. I took on extra shifts at the factory, even when my hands ached and my feet throbbed. Every pound I earned, every minute I spent was for one purpose: to learn English and chase my dream. After 10 long months of sacrifice, I finally had enough money to join a cheap English course in Cairo. I felt nervous and excited. This was my chance. My first day should have been thrilling. Instead, I froze. The teacher smiled and asked, "Introduce yourself." My hands trembled, my heart pounded. My mouth felt dry. I opened my mouth and stammered. My name Florance, I from Egypt." Some students giggled. I felt their eyes on me, judging me. Humiliation washed over me like a cold wave. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to run out and never come back. My dream seemed so far away in that moment. That night I sat alone in my tiny room, tears streaming down my face. I thought about giving up. I thought about returning to the factory and forgetting this impossible dream. But then I looked in the mirror. I whispered to myself, "I will not remain weak." I realized that this humiliation, this fear, and even the laughter of others was temporary. What mattered was what I chose to do next. I could let my fear stop me, or I could use it to fuel my determination. After that first day at the English course, I knew that if I wanted to succeed, I had to work harder than anyone else. I could not rely on classes alone. I had to create my own methods, my own system to improve. So I started experimenting, and soon I developed 3 powerful methods that changed everything. The mirror method. Every night I stood in front of my small, cracked mirror and practiced speaking aloud. I repeated sentences over and over. "Hello, my name is Florence. I want to become a nurse. I will succeed." At first it felt silly. I imagined my reflection laughing at me. But slowly my voice grew stronger, more confident. I could hear myself improving day by day. It felt like planting seeds. Small words repeated daily, eventually blossoming into confidence. No Arabic in my life. Next, I made a bold decision. No Arabic in my life, even for a moment. I changed my phone language to English. I watched YouTube videos in English. I listened to songs in English. I even thought in English whenever I could. Every little habit that reminded me of Arabic became a challenge to overcome. It was difficult at first. My brain fought back. I wanted to slip into comfort. But I reminded myself, comfort will never lead to my dream. 3 new words a day. Every day, I picked 3 new medical-related English words. I wrote them on paper on my hands, even on the walls of my room. At night, I formed sentences with them. Slowly, my vocabulary grew. Slowly, the fear of English began to shrink. The progress was not fast. Sometimes I felt like giving up. Sometimes I would speak a sentence and immediately realize it was wrong. But I kept going. Every mistake was a lesson. Every repeated sentence built strength. Step by step, word by word, sentence by sentence. I could feel English becoming part of me. I was no longer a passive listener. I was starting to speak. I was starting to think in English. That small daily effort, repeated without fail, laid the foundation for the biggest change in my life. I was no longer the girl who froze on the first day of class. I was becoming a girl who could speak, who could dream, and who could survive in a world far bigger than my little home in Cairo. After a year of saving, studying, and practicing English, I knew I had reached an important point in my journey. My skills had improved, my confidence was growing, and my dream of becoming a nurse was stronger than ever. That was when I made the biggest decision of my life. I would apply for a nursing course abroad. In Ireland. Why Ireland? There were several reasons that made it the perfect choice. One English-speaking country. I needed full immersion. Being surrounded by English every day would force me to speak. Listen and understand. Two friendly people. I had heard stories of Irish kindness, and I knew I would need support far from home. Three good nursing programs. Ireland had excellent nursing schools, recognized internationally. This would open doors for my career. Four, more affordable than others. Compared to the UK, the USA, or Canada, studying in Ireland was possible for someone like me, who had saved every penny. Even though I had a plan, I was terrified. Could I survive in a new country? Could I handle the cold weather? The fast English, the accents I couldn't yet understand? Would I manage classes, work part-time, and still keep up with my studies? I didn't know the answers. I only knew one thing for sure. Dreams are not for the weak. Dreams are for those willing to fight, to take risks, to step into the unknown. I applied, waited anxiously, and finally received the email. My hands shook as I read the words. Congratulations, you are accepted. My heart raced, my eyes filled with tears. I was leaving my home, my family, my comfort zone. But I was chasing a future that was bigger than fear. Packing my suitcase, I felt a mix of excitement and dread. The airport was overwhelming. The crowd, the announcements in fast English. The cold wind as I stepped outside. But in that moment, I promised myself, I would survive, I would learn, I would grow. This was the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where I would face real challenges, real mistakes, and real growth. Ireland was calling, and I was ready to answer. I reached Dublin with one small suitcase and a heart full of hope but also fear. Everything was new. The streets, the buildings, the cold air. It felt like walking into a different world. The wind hit my face like tiny needles, and I missed the warm sun of Cairo. Even worse was the language. The accent sounded like music I couldn't understand. People spoke so fast. Words flew past my ears, and I felt lost in every conversation. I wanted to ask questions, but my mouth would freeze. I felt alone, small, and scared. The first days were the hardest. I had to find a place to stay, figure out transportation, and survive on my small savings. My classes were challenging. The teachers spoke clearly, but I sometimes struggled to keep up. The words in my textbooks looked complicated, and I often had to read sentences 5 times before understanding them. To support myself, I worked part-time in a bakery. I woke up early for morning classes, worked long hours in the evening, and studied at night. My hands became sore from kneading dough and writing notes. My eyes hurt from reading medical terms under the dim light of my small room. Some nights, I cried myself to sleep, missing my parents, my home, and the comfort of everything familiar. But then something magical happened. One day, while serving coffee at the bakery, a customer smiled and said, "Your coffee is great, thank you." Without thinking, I replied, "You're welcome, have a great day." The words came out smoothly. No translation in my head. No fear, just English. That small moment felt like a spark. For the first time, I realized that I could communicate. I could speak. I could be understood. My heart raced, and a fire ignited inside me. That spark gave me the courage to take the next big step, applying for a nursing course. The entrance exam was scary. The medical English words were long and complicated. Reading passages felt impossible at first. I had to write essays, do interviews, and prepare for tests I had never imagined in my life. Many nights I stayed up studying. I made flashcards for new words. I recorded myself reading sentences to improve pronunciation. I practiced speaking with classmates and strangers, even when I made mistakes. Every failure taught me something. Every small improvement built my confidence. After months of preparation, the day of the exam finally came. My hands shook, my heart raced, but I reminded myself, I had worked too hard to give up now. I did my best. I answered every question carefully. I spoke clearly in the interview. I gave my all. Weeks later, I got the results. I had passed. I was accepted into nursing school. My dream was finally within reach. The first months in school were tough. Medical English was much harder than everyday English. Assignments were long and difficult. Presentations made me nervous. But I refused to give up. I reminded myself why I had come all this way. Slowly I learned, adapted, and improved. 3 years of dedication, hard work, and determination later, I graduated. I walked across the stage, holding my diploma, feeling proud and strong. I was no longer the scared girl in Cairo. I was a nurse, ready to help people and live my dream. Chapter 8, Living the Dream. Now I work as a registered nurse in Dublin. Every morning, I wake up in my nice apartment, ready to help patients and live my dream. My salary is €52,000 per year, enough to live comfortably and send money back home. My parents no longer work in the hot, noisy textile factory. They rest, they smile, and they are proud. Every time I hold a patient's hand and say, "Don't worry, I'm here," I feel something I never felt before: pride, joy, and a sense of purpose. I remember the little girl I once was, scared of English, stuck in the factory, thinking her dream was impossible. And now here I am living it. Life in Dublin is not perfect. Work is busy. Patients need attention. Medical emergencies are stressful. But I love what I do. Every challenge reminds me why I started. Every life I help reminds me of my journey, and every patient I comfort reminds me that English was my key to this life. I want to tell you something important. Do not accept a small life. Do not accept your fears. Do not accept being average. Your life will only change if you take action. And the first action is learning English. English is not just a subject. It is a tool, a bridge, a key. With it, you can open doors to education, opportunities, and dreams that once seemed impossible. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week. Start reading, listening, speaking, making mistakes, learning and growing every single day. I know it is hard. I know you will face fear, loneliness, and mistakes. I face them too. But every small effort, every hour of practice, every step outside your comfort zone brings you closer to your dream. If I, a factory worker from Cairo, who could barely say a sentence in English, can become a nurse in Dublin, then you can become anything. Your dreams are waiting. The choice is yours. Start now, don't wait. Don't give up. Your future is in your hands.